All done. Finally. Man, I think this is gonna be a really good video. Oh, that's right. Let's see what people said about my last one. I know you want that juicy ad revenue, but man, you could explain this concept in less than 1 minute. It was clearly made 20 minutes long for ad revenue. That's not even how YouTube works. Left after 13 seconds. Left 5 minutes in. Try and cut the video time down if feasible. Challenge accepted.
You need to be spending less ultimates than the enemy team during fights, but winning the fights. If you do that, you will win Overwatch. You just win.
Anyway, hello everyone, how are you? Yesterday we looked at the big picture in terms of ult economy, but I know they can be a bit difficult to apply straight to your solo queue matches, so let's go over that. My original intention for this video was actually to give the entire thing in the form of examples from the gameplay footage I have in my inbox from you, but there was one problem. You see, my information is limited to the perspective of the recorded player, and that normally wouldn't really be a problem at all if you guys ever looked at the scoreboard. So because of the rampant neglect of the tab key or the controller equivalent, I usually didn't have enough information to get a good idea of the game's current economic state. So before you follow any of the rest of this guide, you have to look at the scoreboard. I look at it all the time, even in the middle of the fight sometimes, to see exactly what options we have available at any given time. So press that score button, gaze upon that beautiful blue check mark. You'll be better for it. So with that out of the way, let's start basic and work our way up. Don't worry, because most of these things are just extensions of the part 1 guide I did yesterday. This video will be a little bit shorter. First things first, Overwatch is not a very intuitive game. Doing the right thing, as your regular gaming experience would tell you, isn't always the right thing economically in Overwatch. Here are some ground rules. As a healer, oftentimes before and after fights, you'll have to do what I call spot healing. Basically, these random chips of damage your teammates receive during the poke exchange or after a fight when everyone is hurt, but there isn't any urgent battle happening. When you're in this mode of healing, always press tab first if you have your ultimate. If your ult is up, but you have another healer on your team whose ult is not up, just stop spot healing. Don't do it. You're wasting precious ult charge you could be giving to your partner. Of course, when a fight breaks out and health actually matters, saving teammates takes way priority. Next, as a DPS, again, oftentimes before and after a fight, you'll have times when you can do damage, but don't necessarily have to. Before a fight, in the poke phase, if you have your ultimate up, don't poke. Sure, if you're a Widow or something and you think you can get a real kill, go for it, but spamming those Genji shurikens or whatever into the enemy blob of heroes when you already have your ultimate isn't doing anything but feeding ult charge to the other team's healers. Also, after the fight, oftentimes you'll wind up with a final man alive for the other team. If you have your ultimate up, do not shoot the last guy unless you absolutely have to. I know it feels good to take out that last Reinhardt hiding in the corner after his team got wiped, but if you don't need the ult charge, again, give it to the rest of your team. Alright, enough of that. You're only one player, of course, and one player does not control the economy of an entire team. You do control 1/6 of it, though. And having an economy that is 1/6 properly managed is much better than having one that's not managed at all. So don't downplay the effect your own personal ult management has on your games. And I'm not talking basic stuff here like don't ult when your team is dead or only ult if you think the fight is winnable. Everyone knows that, and if you didn't, well, now you know. Let's talk about risk-reward for a sec. So most of the time when you use an ult on attack, unless it's the last fight of the game, there is risk involved. You're betting that your ultimate will be able to turn a team fight, with the risk being, of course, if you don't win the fight, your ultimate is wasted. Early on, doing risky ults, like maybe nanoing your Reinhardt on the one-off chance you turn a lost fight around, can result in huge rewards. If you have 5 minutes on the clock going into the end of the map and your risky ultimate actually works, well, your ult just let you take the map incredibly early, and you saved upwards of 4 minutes potentially. Meanwhile, if the ultimate doesn't work, you still have plenty of time to make additional takes and earn that time back. But remember, we are talking about the attacking team here. Later on, though, risky ults are very bad. The return is not nearly as good. Same scenario, but now you only have 1 minute left on the clock. You decide to take the risk. Even if it works out, you might complete the map with 30 seconds left. You gained what? 30 seconds? Before you were gaining 4 minutes. Now, if the ult fails, you possibly just prevented your team from taking the map at all. Of course, you don't have enough time to get another ultimate, so you're completely out of luck. So the conclusion of that logic is, early in the game, bold ultimates on attack aren't bad. In fact, they can often be good. That 5v6 scenario where you try to turn it around with an ultimate could result in a huge time gain. As you approach the final 2 minutes, however, you need to start tightening up and saving for that final fight. Only use your ultimate when it's absolutely guaranteed and safe. So let's talk real quick about those last couple minutes actually that I was just referring to. The game becomes a bit different during that final stage. The attackers have to tighten up, like I said before, and the defenders start looking to make that full hold. At this point, the attacker's role becomes to force the defenders to use their ultimates. That 1 minute fight comes up. As an attacker, you almost never want to use anything on that fight. You're trying to pressure the defense and threaten a capture on the point and forcing them to use something. A tactic you can also use for this is a bait ultimate, as I like to call it. A lot of times the defenders will be waiting for the attackers to initiate with their own ults. Good idea. So if you use a cheap ult first, like a nano boost or a high noon, it's possible that that one ult can grab 2, 3, or even 4 out of the other team. That is completely worth it. Of course, it runs the risk of the defenders not falling for it at all, but generally, it's a very effective strategy. As a defender, you have to save when that last minute rolls around. Unless the attackers are threatening to finish the map or capture a checkpoint, just save. Again, go back to the risk reward. Holding slightly further up, like 10 meters up, is not worth it when you have a full map capture on the line. When you're down to 30 seconds or the attackers are about to cap the point, that's when you want to finally go in and use everything. Most of this stuff is based on the topics I went over in part 1. So if you're confused and think I'm leaving stuff out or I'm not elaborating enough, it's because it's in there. So go check it out. Now I'm going to go over 2 quick 30-second examples I grabbed from my inbox. One good and one bad. Let's check them out. All right, let's give a little bit of context. So the enemy team, now we actually just got to pick on the soldier there. The enemy team just took the first point and they rolled it. You see they still have 6 minutes, 30 seconds remaining, and they haven't used any ultimates yet. So we probably know they have the ultimate advantage. They have a lot of ults up. Now let's see what our hero chooses to do. He's playing Anna. I like Anna for these examples because she has damage, she has healing, and her ultimate is a nice, not too valuable, but not too throwaway either. Now, no ultimates have been used yet except for the monkey. I'm intentionally leaving the audio on a little bit in the background so you can hear. No ultimates have been used yet. You want to be very scared. I'm going to pause it real quick. You want to be very scared of using anything here because potentially, if you do use ultimates here, the enemy team's just going to come with 6 ults, come and just completely wipe you. So if we're a hero right now, we want to be deathly afraid of using our ultimate. We want to hold on to it for as long as we can. Let's see what we do here. So we use it here. Now, I'm not going to go over whether this was a good ult or bad ult in terms of like the positioning and stuff. I'm just talking about from a purely economic perspective. This is not quite desperate enough. You can see they don't have any ticks up. They only have 2 people on the point. This is definitely not a last-ditch situation. Plus, they haven't used anything yet. Now, they get lucky here. They get tremendously lucky, and immediately afterwards, we see 3 ults popped from the enemy team. And this is their bad. The enemy team, having seen this ultimate go off, should have been like, okay, we're going to get back and then just go stomp them in the next push. And we would have definitely lost here if that were the case. But fortunately enough for a hero, like I said, the enemy team kind of bailed him out there. All right, now here we have the good example. Now, I don't know if this was necessarily intentional, but it did wind up being good in the end. A little bit of context. Again, this is the final point. Obviously, if the enemy team takes this area right here, they win the match, but it's only 1 minute remaining. So, there's another push after this. Our hero is about to get his ultimate. Now, you want to save it as long as you can. And I know it gets scary. It gets very scary, but trust me, you don't It's generally less scary than it immediately appears. So we're going to see right now. We get our ultimate. Most players right now, I'm telling you, most players would immediately burn it here. Because, oh my god, we have 4 people in the cart, they're pushing. But actually, we're still fine. The fight is still fine. And using our ultimate here could potentially just be a loss by itself. And if you think it's scary holding your ultimate here, it's a lot scarier using it. Definitely next push, because the enemy team has a Zarya who hasn't ulted yet. The enemy team has a lot of stuff, but our hero is going to save. He's going to be strong, be diligent, be disciplined, and he's not going to use his ult. He's still going to hold on to it, and you can see we're still fine, and that's good. So we see we're going to contest now, and now at the very last second, he's finally, at this point, forced, of course, to use his ult. He's about to die. It's starting to look much more dire now. We have 5 people in the cart, almost going down. So at the last second, now we use our ultimate, and they're going to actually wind up holding the point here. And because of the 20 seconds they saved by making this sort of play, plus remember he didn't press tab, so it was luck. But his Roadhog didn't quite have his ultimate up yet, so they didn't have the combo. So holding that ult like that actually won them this entire match, because now the enemy team doesn't quite have enough time to really get a full push up, and because of that they stagger in a little bit and they just win the fight. Now if they did have the full time, if they had wiped earlier, 10 seconds earlier, they'd come back with the Zarya, all that stuff, and Graviton, and just wipe here. So good job by our hero, even if it wasn't necessarily intentional. But anyway, guys, let me know what you think in the comments. Did you like it? Do you want to see more? I think I covered everything pretty well, but if there needs to be more clarification or anything like that, we can certainly work it out. Anyway, guys, always remember to stay positive and have a great day. Peace out.